Good afternoon, everyone. This is Quinny Clem with Quinny's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And this week is American Education Week, November the 11th through the 16th. And for this full week, I am going to be honoring educators in the education field. First off, introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Donyalla. I have been an educator for over 17 years. Primarily, I teach middle school. I've taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. In addition to that, I am also a college professor part-time. I work with University of Phoenix, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. So education is pretty much in my blood.
All right. Why did you want to become a teacher?
You know, I didn't originally want to become a teacher in the first place. I had originally planned to become a lawyer. And my family and I had joined a new church during this time. It was right around when I graduated from high school. And we had joined a new church, and the minister there had kind of pointed me out and said, you know, you're supposed to be a teacher. You're supposed to work with children. I was like, what? That's not even what I wanted to do. But I started doing some observations and started doing some work with elementary school kids, and I kind of fell in love with teaching then. And that was when I decided to change my major to become an educator.
Okay. What is your teaching style?
Ooh, teaching style. My kids will tell you that I can be mean, I'm very strict, I'm very tough, but I'm also a caring teacher. I pretty much try to get them ready for the real world because they need to understand that just because they have one thing or another thing doesn't mean everything's going to be handed down to them. And so in my classroom, they really have to learn how to keep up with their work, keep up, you know, study skills or different things so they can be ready for the next level.
Okay. How do you motivate your students?
I do a lot of things to motivate my students. I give them rewards. Sometimes I just give them the time if they need to vent. A lot of times kids don't feel like they have an open forum to be able to
Yes.
how they feel or what they're feeling about certain topics. And so usually I let them vent, give them to share their opinions, respect their opinions or different things. I motivate them by, you know, just letting them know that they can do whatever they set their mind to. But in addition to that, I still give them the real world setting as well, so they'll know that everything just doesn't come easy. But this day and age, it's kind of hard to compete with technology and things like that within the classrooms. And so I try to do a lot of hands-on activities, things that I know that's going to keep them engaged, just to keep them motivated. And I tell people this all the time. I teach over 165 kids on a daily basis. If I can just reach one, I've done my job.
Yes.
Hard to reach all 165. There's just some kids hard to kind of get to no matter what you do. And so if I can just reach one or two, then I've done my job for the day.
Yes. How do you communicate and build relationships with parents?
Ooh, that's a tough subject. I teach a lot of kids who are at a higher level, like gifted kids or advanced. And so parents are automatically involved. My struggle is with those kids who may be struggling where I don't hear from those parents on a regular basis. So typically what I have to do, I try to send emails. I try to send texts. If I have their numbers, there's a remind program where I can send texts. I try to make sure that my blog or my website is updated so parents can have information. So, and then I try to be there when we have certain events at our school where I get a chance to talk to my parents as well. Am I successful all the time? No, but I still try to do it anyway, just so my parents know that I am there.
Okay. What is your educational background?
My educational background, I first have an associate's degree from Atlanta Metropolitan College. I wasn't quite ready to go to a 4-year school when I graduated from high school. So going to a 2-year school or a community school was the best bet for me. And it's a decision that I do not regret making, but it kind of helped me get ready for a 4-year school. Once I did that, I transferred to Georgia State University and completed the rest of my studies there and got my bachelor's degree in middle childhood education with the specialization in English and social studies. And then after I started teaching for about a year, I went back for my master's degree. My master's degree is in curriculum and instruction. I can work with, you know, doing curriculum, lesson plans, different things like that. And then after I did that for about a year or two, after I got that, I went back and got my PhD. So my PhD, my doctorate is in educational leadership.
Oh, wow. What strengths do you have that will help your teaching career?
What tricks?
What strengths?
Strengths do I have in my teaching career? One of the strengths that I have to say that I'm very organized. I like things to be done a certain way. In addition to that, I am the 8th grade event coordinator for my grade level, which means I plan all of the 8th grade events for our students, such as field trips, formal dances, their moving on ceremony, stuff like that. So I'm pretty much the go-to person for those things. Nobody on my hallway wants to do it because it's a lot of work, and I enjoy doing it. But that's pretty much what it is, being organized. I tell people all the time, if you're not organized, teaching is not, because you have to be organized and you have to be flexible because things changes on a day-to-day basis.
It does.
I have. Yes.
What is the greatest success you've had with teaching?
Oh, wow. Great question. Great question. I don't tell the story often, but I remember I was probably in my 4th or 5th year of teaching. And I had a young student that came from the Philippines who knew very little English. And when he came to my class, it was a struggle trying to get him adapted to the English culture as well as helping him learn the English language. And so I, along with the students that I had at the time, took the time to work with him to help him because he really wanted to learn. And at the end of the school year, we did a book report where they had to do a oral presentation on the book that they read. And so to modify the lesson for him, I had to do a picture book that would be easier for him. He did a picture book presentation, did very well with the limited English that he knew, and received innovation in the classroom for doing that because his peers were able to see how much he had progressed from the beginning to that point. Well, years later, I went to Panda Express to get dinner, and I'm sitting in line trying to figure out what I want to order. And this young man says, Miss Mans, at the time I was Miss Mans. He said, Miss Mans. And I'm looking like, who is this? He said, Miss Mans, you don't remember me? And I said, no, I don't. I said, kind of refresh my memory. He said, remember, I was one of your students when I came from the Philippines. He said, I just want to thank you for everything that you did for me that year in your class. He said, I'm getting ready to graduate from high school on my way to college. And he said, my family and I just thank you for everything. His mom was working like down at the cash register. She gave me my meal for free and said he never stopped talking about you. She said, thank you for everything that you did for him in 8th grade. He remembers you. And that was such a profound moment for me because I never knew that I actually made that impact on his life. So that made me very happy at the time.
Woo, woo. That is wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
What do you think is the greatest challenge facing students today?
Ooh, the greatest challenge facing students today. Wow, that's a lot. I think the greatest challenge for the students facing today is the testing and the testing procedures or the testing requirements that we require our students to take. I think a lot of students struggle with that because just being honest, students are not very good test takers. And so to put a lot of pressure on them to take a standardized test to see if they're ready to go to the next grade level is a lot. And so for them, it's just one of those things where you have to teach them because most careers that we have today, you have to take a test to be certified. Even becoming a teacher, I had to take a test to be certified. Being a doctor or a lawyer, but even if you want to do something with beauty, things like that, you have to take a test in order to be certified in those areas. And I think a lot of students struggle with, what do I do? How do I fix it? How do I show that I know this stuff and not panic and run away from it? So I think that's one of the greatest challenges that they have as far as education.
What is the greatest challenge facing teachers today?
We have a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges. I think one of the things that we face the most is lack of support from administration, lack of support from parents, as well as the discipline issues that we get in our classroom and classroom sizes. Those are the top ones. It seems like whenever we get one kid out the room, it seems to be another one that comes right behind them when they come to the classroom. And so it just makes it a difficult environment for us to teach. motivate to try to work with our students and things like that. So if we can get those under control as well as those class sizes. My biggest class size right now is about 36 students. And so it's hard to teach in that type of environment and be successful at it. So.
Okay. How do you connect your lesson plans to real life?
Oh, I'm always connecting my lesson plans to real life. I never use a textbook when I'm teaching the stuff, content that my students need to know. I'm always going to the internet to find different things that I can use to teach my students. But every single lesson that I teach, I make sure I connect to the real world. You need to know this when you write, resumes. You need to know this when you have to write, review, the different things like that. So every single thing I do has to be connected to the real world, because if it's not, the students are not going to understand why it's important. And so even when we read novels in the classroom, the books that we read, I try to find something to connect to the real world so my students can understand. And I find that when you do make that connection, students understand the content as well as motivated to do something else with
it. Okay. Think of something else. Or is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
Well, although teaching has its negative moments, I think the positive moments make it successful, make it well worth it. Just like the story that I told you about that young man. And I have many, many other stories that I have where a student has told me that they made that I made an impact on their lives. And so even though it may seem difficult at times, even though it may seem frustrating at times, and as a veteran teacher, I'm going to have that on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. But, knowing that I can, for example, this weekend, I took a group of my dance. I coach dance at my school. And yesterday, my assistant coach and I took them to go see the Broadway show Wicked. And a lot of my girls on my team have never been exposed to, professional shows like that, or never been to Fox Theater in Atlanta and things like that. So being able to take them and being able to talk with them and share with them what they saw, and they were able to relate or relay what they saw to me, it was very rewarding, kind of got emotional about it, because they were like, thank you. I've never seen that. I've enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And so I try to expose my students to a lot of things that they'll need to be ready for the real world. So I just want to tell anybody who wants to get into teaching, it may have this moment. It's not always going to be easy, but if you can just hang in there and know that you're making a difference in somebody's life, well worth it. It's a very rewarding career.
Okay. I know what I was going to ask you. I had a brain freeze.
Okay. Okay.
What advice would you give someone that wants to go into teaching?
The very first thing I'm going to say to them is make sure you want to get into this career. Because if you're not equipped or have enough preparation for it, you can be burned out or, overwhelmed your first year. So I the first thing I want to say is make sure it's something that you want to do. Secondly, make sure you get yourself connected with a good mentor, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can vent to during that first year of teaching, because there's going to be so many things that's happening in that first year teaching. You're going to feel alone. You're going to feel like you're not prepared. You're going to feel like you're not going to have enough support. So find that one person that you can talk to that can give you the advice, the support, the love that you need, or the listening ear that you need, or even if you just want to cry on their shoulder, because there's going to be some times where you're going to cry. Try to find that person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So those are my two top things. Make sure it's something that you want to do, and get with a good mentor who can help you, navigate through that first year, even second year of teaching, because it is going to be an adjustment.
All right. Well, I want to personally thank you, first of all, for being an educator and helping our young people to be their best. And also, second, for being an author, because you write books.
Yes.
Thank you, Donyalla. And I want to ask you one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
You like to play a game with me?
Okay, sure.
Okay, it's called My Favorites.
Okay.
My favorite pastime.
Sleep.
Your favorite gift one of your students have given you?
Ooh. My student made me a painting that was from melted crayons for my birthday. It had a list of melted crayons and it had all these different colors of the rainbow on there. I still have it hanging on my wall. I love it. Every time I look at it, I smile.
Okay. Your favorite color?
My favorite color is red.
Favorite restaurant?
Ooh, I have a lot of them. If I have to choose anything Mexican.
And your favorite scripture?
My favorite scripture is definitely Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Well, thank you, Donyalla, for coming in today and talking with us about being an educator. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Love you. Bye.
Have a good one. Thank you.